Here's how you can instantly get better aim in Marvel Rivals. I'm Prophet, your unofficial aim coach, here to transform that wobbly crosshair into a precision-guided missile. I've sunk hundreds of hours into aim trainers, way more than any rational human should confess to, and dissected countless matches to crack the code on what actually works in this game. I'm serious, I have an Excel spreadsheet comparing warm-up routines with in-game performance. Today, I'm serving up a full platter. My in-game warm-up that takes just 5 minutes, settings tweaks to instantly make your shots buttery smooth, and a practice routine so effective you'll be headshotting Spider-Man mid-web zip. So we know aim is important, but why does aim matter so much in Marvel Rivals? Unlike other games where abilities often carry the load, this game demands mechanical skill for a lot of characters. Even ability-heavy heroes need solid crosshair placement to shine. I've seen it in countless matches. Better aim means more kills, more space, and more fun. So buckle up, legends, we're about to level up your game. Before you even twitch that mouse, let's lock in your setup. Good aim starts with a rock-solid foundation. If your game's chugging along like Groot trying to stutter out, "I am," your shots are toast. First things first, under settings, display, I would ensure you're getting a good FPS. Definitely 60 FPS, but 120 plus makes a noticeable difference, of course. This video would get too long if I covered just FPS settings alone, but to keep it simple and hopefully a little helpful to anyone new with this, you need to ensure you have a system that's capable of supporting a high FPS, and you'll need to have a high refresh rate monitor as well. You can simply look up your individual setup specs to find out what you should realistically be expecting. And now, in order to help take advantage of what your system can offer you, that's where these in-game settings helps. For starters, you can copy my settings here and go from there. Axe frame generation mode, just turn this off. It's a latency gremlin that'll trip you up. If you have an NVIDIA card, you can enable NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. It helps enable your mouse for a snappier response. Stick to 1080p or your native resolution. You're not here to gawk at pretty leaves, you're here to blast heads. Just for frame of reference, I have a 7800 X3D and a 4070 Ti Super, and I get 360 to 500 plus FPS depending on the map and what's going on. If that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry about it. Just copy my settings or another content creator settings for now for a baseline, and just note under graphics, I'd set everything to low if you care about consistent performance. And back in the early days of Rivals, we'd have to fumble through config files to kill mouse acceleration. Nightmare fuel. Luckily, this has been updated, and this is a simple setting you can toggle now. So once more, we're under settings and now keyboard, and we're under the first tab, the combat tab. Flip off mouse smoothing and mouse acceleration. In this game, mouse smoothing messes up your flicking and tracking. I have this off. Gale, top Punisher player on the leaderboards, has this off. The real Kenzo has this off. You should probably have this off. It just feels weird. If it feels all right to you, I guess you could have it on. I would probably turn it off though. Mouse acceleration does what it says it does. Generally, you want your mouse movement to be consistent. There are people who have put in some serious work to make mouse acceleration work for them, and after being exposed to it for a long period of time, you can adapt to it like anything else. The human body is good at that, but at my experience, it's more of a hindrance than an aid. I'd have mouse accel off. And for reticles, I don't have anything crazy here. I will have the code to this groovy green cross right here in the description if you want to copy that and then just import this into here so you can have my crosshair setting that I'm showing for this particular account. It varies what kind of crosshair I want to use. Sometimes I'll use a little dot or this crosshair. Just, again, it just varies based on how I'm feeling for the day or whatever the case, whatever flavor I want to use. But all I did was scale this down a little bit in size. So just take like a normal crosshair. And then all I ended up doing was just scaling the, let me click into advanced here for you guys. For the width, as you can see, I have this all the way scaled down to 0. And then the only other thing I did was, I believe I changed the crosshair length as well. You could see kind of like the default, I think it was like maybe double or more than this, and I moved it down to 8, so it's just not a big crosshair, it's this itty bitty guy. By and large, you want a smaller crosshair so you have more precision with where it's going and what you're doing. Boom, your aim's raw and responsive, no more slogging through digital molasses. Sensitivity is a personal beast, but here's a baseline. If you're running 800 DPI, which I recommend increasing, and more on that in a bit, but if you're running 800 DPI, Start at 2.0 horizontal and vertical, or 800 DPI with an in-game sense that lets you 180 to 360 degree turn across your mouse pad in one smooth swipe. Test it in the range. Can you flick to a bot without overshooting or undershooting? Tweak it until it's gold. If you are overshooting, meaning your crosshair consistently is going past where you want it to, your sensitivity is too high. If you are undershooting, meaning you're trying to flick to the left, let's say, and you're not quite getting your crosshair all the way to where it needs to go, your sensitivity is a bit too low for what you need. So for hit scan heroes like Hela, I dip my sense down a good bit for pinpoint precision, and for other heroes, I nudge upward to track those wild movements we see all the time in this game. For polling rate, crank it to maybe 1000 hertz if your system can handle it. Less lag, more zap. Again, if you don't know what this stuff means, don't worry about it. I am shielding you from an endless rabbit hole that only gets deeper the more you enter it. Proceed researching all of that at your own risk. The goal of this vid is to simplify and give pragmatic steps to instantly improve your aim, not send you on an endless knowledge quest. But speaking of going on wild goose chases, and not to spend much more time on this, for anyone curious, I'm running 3200 DPI, and depending on the character, I usually have a 0.6 in-game sensitivity for both X and Y or lower, like 0.5 or lower depending on the hero. You can watch this vid here, linked at the top right, if you want to know the reasoning behind the higher DPI. One trap to avoid: don't keep changing your sense after every bad game or two. Pick one sense, stick with it for at least 2 weeks. Your brain needs time to figure out how this works. If these tips are tracking for you, consider subscribing. I make weekly videos like this, including guides, how to rank up, and more. I'm basically your personal Professor X, except without the wheelchair and the creepy mind reading nonsense. As far as your physical setup goes, don't worry about it. Pros are still winning tournaments with 10-year-old mice. Sure, there's better stuff out there nowadays, but if the best can beat other top 0.1% gamers with a bit of a janky setup, it's clearly not a major factor. I have a RuneScape mouse pad because I like it and it makes me happy. I think it objectively adds 40% to my in-game performance too. Happiness is key to a long and healthy life, so it's a double whammy. All right, settings sorted, third-person quirks owned. Great. Those are some silly easy ways to instantly improve your aim. Now the meaty part, my warm-up routine. Aim trainers are neat, but that's not going to instantly improve your aim. And the practice range is the real deal. There's no external tool that exactly matches this game's third-person feel or the projectile quirks. So head to the range at the bottom of the stairs and hit the terminals. And I guess there's going to be a teleport to the terminal section in the beginning of this upcoming season, so that's nice. It also means this guide is technically outdated by the time it's uploaded too, so that's great as well. Now let's crack why your shots feel wonky. Marvel Rivals isn't like a lot of other shooter games. Third-person aiming means bullets fire from your hero's weapon, not your eyeballs or the center of your screen. Well, they do, but they don't. Picture an invisible line from your gun barrel to your crosshair in this case. So if you can see in the middle of the screen here, we have the crosshair over Luna's head right now. To the left of that, we have our character's person. So really the line that's being drawn from our bullets or from our gun barrel or whatever the case is actually like diagonally moving across the screen. So that's where the bullets in this case, or the projectiles or whatever, that's where they're coming from. So that's why you might have seen in some videos where you can like aim to the left of her head and you miss. But if you aim to the right of her head, boom, boom, you're taking her out. Height throws another wrench into this as well. If you're shooting up at a tall tank or someone floating above your head, notice how we basically have this at his chin and we are easily missing right now. You have to kind of have this at a weird wonky angle, and this is something you're going to have to play around with depending on the angle that you're standing at, the angle that they're at. It's more of a feel thing than anything in this game. This third-person voodoo takes time, but once it clicks, you'll feel unstoppable. Okay, for this here, this is one of the most important pieces of this video. Yes, this won't instantly improve your aim, but it'll take like 5 minutes. Sorry, you're gonna have to commit this much if you really want to take the extra step in this video here. I go to select hero and I select cloak and dagger. It defaults to dagger skin, so the girl, and she's has a much smaller hitbox, so I like choosing that here. So for target distance, generate type, I have this set to random. For random generation range, I have this set to mid range, and that's pretty comfortable for me. I feel like that is most often what you'll end up fighting in game if you're having a character that shoots a little bit of a distance, and when you're warming up, I just feel like mid-range really is the sweet spot. I don't want short range like ever. That's too easy. Like even if you're a novice in this, you might want to start here, but I would encourage you to try mid-range, and then long range is a bit silly. Like maybe if you play Hawkeye or Widow or something like that, like maybe you'd want to, you know, test this out, but I feel like mid-range is kind of the superior spot to be at. For static dynamic, I always have this on dynamic. That's the whole reason of me being here, so I can have everything moving and have it actually simulate what's in the game. When in doubt, try to simulate what actually happens in your game, the stuff that's harder to do. Just think of like working out or anything else in life. The thing that is more difficult to do usually bears more fruit for you in the long term. I have move action set to random, so they're moving around in all sorts of directions, just like a real game again. I have movement speed on super fast, and you can start with normal if you want to get used to this mechanic. However, I would encourage you to, as fast as you can, head to super fast to make this more difficult for yourself. So again, think of like weight training. You want to make it more difficult so you get used to trying to track those really quick movements. For timer, I have this set to on and the default 60 seconds. This is just like aim training. If you're used to aim lab or something like Kovacs or anything like that, you're very often, most of those practice segments are 60 seconds each, because they found out that that's generally like how much your brain can take of super intense, like I'm trying to aim, I'm trying to improve. And then this right here, I just turn music off so I can listen to my own music or just not have this background music playing all the time here. And now we're just going to hit start, and I'm going to start in the middle screen here, and I'm not going to physically move myself around. I just want to get used to tracking these. See how quick they're moving and how difficult they are to hit, like even in this basic form right here. So obviously this is a little bit more difficult because I'm trying to talk to you while I'm doing this as well. I'm just trying to make up excuses for the fact that I haven't warmed up yet today and everything. And I actually think my sensitivity is off. Actually, I know it's off right now, but that's fine. But this is all I'm doing. I'm just tracking right now. I'm just holding down the left click button. I'm having it go to like auto reload. Like I'm not hitting the reload button. I'm just having it do that itself. And again, I'm trying to aim for the chest, neck, head areas. When you get more comfortable with this, you'll know what it feels like to kind of get the headshots on different targets, because it's going to be slightly different depending on the type of character it is. If you're aiming slightly up, slightly down, all around, right? So that's all I'm trying to do here. Now I do this for about 5 times on the Punisher here, just to get used to this tracking mechanic right here, as you can see. And then I'll just hop over to a different character like a Hela or somebody, but yeah, I'll reposition myself and then I'll stand here. And I don't physically move around too much when I do these beginning pieces here. I want to focus on just my aim. And again, this is one of the most important pieces of this video here. Try to just focus on your aim. Don't be like talking to somebody, having a conversation or whatever. This is something to take super serious. I'm not joking. So think about it like brushing your teeth, like working out. You're in here to get better. Yes, it's called a warm-up, but it's a little bit more than that as well. You get in whatever, you get out whatever you put in, is what I'm trying to say. And then what I would do is I would kind of reposition myself over here. So I would maybe do like, 2 on the left, and then 2 scenarios where I'd be on the right trying to track, and then like 1 or 2 in the middle tracking as well. And then when I feel a little bit more warmed up, maybe I'll like move around as I'm trying to do this. And then I hop over to a character like Hela, and I do not hold down the shoot button for her. I single click for every shot that I try to do, so I have a little bit more precision with her. Your DPS actually ends up going up whenever you do something like this, because you're more accurate. You would think holding the shoot button down would actually end up pumping out more DPS, and while in theory that's true, but you're going to end up missing more shots because you're not perfectly placing like your crosshair whenever you do something like that. You're just holding it down, and you don't know exactly when she's going to end up shooting. Like you can see here, my accuracy actually drops a decent bit whenever I do something like that, where it's a little bit more snappy whenever I can manually click heads or whatever the case. So same thing with Hela. I especially try to focus more the chest, neck, head area for somebody like her. And what you'll find often is if you aim more for like the neck area, you'll end up hitting more headshots, and at the very least you'll at least hit body shots rather than just barely missing their head. Like if I shoot like this, you can see like this is around her head height here, but it's a lot easier to miss. And again, it's little pieces like this that you're not going to pick up if you're in aim labs. There's nothing wrong with aim labs. Again, I've got lots of time in aim labs and Kovacs and everything. There's a time and a value for that, but I would highly recommend that you put the bulk of your time. I know it might sound kind of crazy, for even aim trainer mains out there, I would put the bulk of your time in the practice range, because this is exactly what's happening in game. And there's so many other factors in making you a good player in this game too, rather than just raw aim. Like if your positioning is poor, your in-game sense, like separate mechanics as well aren't as strong, you're still going to lose games. Like aim can only take you so far. Absolutely try to build yourself up to be an aimbot and everything. Take this practice and warm up super serious. Be hyper focused for 5 to 10 minutes plus while you're doing this. I would not spend more than an hour in here every day doing this. I would really spend like 5 to 30 minutes max a day on this, unless you're someone crazy like at a pro level or something like that. And then any other characters that you might switch to, like maybe you play Iron Man and you can kind of fly a little bit closer, use your E ability just to focus on tracking. And then here's something that I thought was interesting too with Iron Man. At the very beginning, I was kind of tempted to just follow his blue beam, right? Like whenever I'm tracking, but you still have your crosshair. And I actually literally try to keep my crosshair on the target, and I try to ignore the blue beam. I'll try to showcase it here again. So notice how I'm trying to keep my crosshair on dagger here rather than following the blue beam. And I noticed, fortunately I caught this early on. I don't always catch these things early on. I found my accuracy went up when I tried to actually just focus on the crosshair on the target. And for my tank mains out there, you can move to any character you want. And again, get used to what their range is like, the fall off, their projectile speed, all of that fun stuff, right? So you can work on your combos and everything. And let me find him here. We can use Hulk. Like if you want to use something like his E ability or whatever button you have it bound to, or if you're on controller or anything, and then go to your practice settings and turn no ability cooldown, turn that on. And then now you can just spam it. So you can get used to just endlessly practicing, trying to hit these targets. As you can see, I do not main Hulk at all here. But this is a great way to practice. Like you will be an E beast. Like you'll be able to E so many people out of their ult, stun them for whatever myriad of reasons. So for tanks as well, this is a fantastic way to get some excellent practice in and work on your combos or whatever else you need to do. Settings dialed, third person mastered, and a warm-up that'll make you a menace in Marvel Rivals. Tweak your game, own that gun to crosshair line, and hit the range like it's your full-time gig. You'll be sniping fools like Hawkeye on his best day, or at least not missing group point blank like a little newbie. Join our Discord if you want more of, well, everything. And check out my most recent video where I talk about how to carry on every role here. Until next time. And yeah, I'm wearing an old school RuneScape t-shirt.